Hello and welcome to Community Corner here on the Serenity Resource Connector. This episode, we're talking financial literacy. Let's get that banner up. And joining me to share her inspiring story and leave with us some insights and some financial tips is none other than Chioma Dinnall-Forbes, financial advisor with Sagicor Life Jamaica, $1 Million Roundtable member, Central Chapter Chairman for Jamaica Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors, a director of the Optimist Club of Mandeville, a wife, a mother of 3 beautiful children. And at this time, I invite you, Chioma, to join me on screen so that the viewers can see you. Welcome, Jermaine, Learn, Grow, Invest. It's great to have you here. And fantastic. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for getting me set up, Jermaine. Are you hearing me clearly over there, Chioma?
I am. Thank you for having me. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. And thank you so much for having me on your program today.
Pleasure. All right. Thank you, Jermaine, for getting my audio set up. I've been trying to figure this thing out for a while. All right. So for your loud and clear, thank you for your audio and your live setup. Check out the Learn, Grow, Invest, Jermaine as a wealth of expertise over there. And I'm sure they're able to share some tips as well, financially speaking. All right. So let's get the discussion going because we have quite a bit that we want to cover and we want to ensure that all our viewers leave with some practical tips that they can use to get started or to boost their financial journey. So let's hear what inspired you to pursue a career in finance and how was your journey shaped your approach in terms of how you advise your clients?
Thank you so much for that question. What has inspired me to go into finance was basically my passion for helping people, right? I grew up in the rural country in Clarendon, and growing up, I sold produce in the market, and from that early age, I realized that I wanted to see change for not just myself and my family, but for all the other persons out there who would have experienced what poverty is and wanted to see themselves, more financially capable of creating wealth for their family and the community at large. So that was one of my major reasons. And so when I approach my clients, I approach them from an individualistic perspective, where it is that we're able to communicate on a more down-to-earth interaction. So it's basically I wanting to find out how can I help you to reach the goals that you want to reach. I am not able
All
to hear
right.
you. Okay.
All right. I'm back with you. That
Yeah.
approach is perfect for Community Corner because this is the virtual corner. You see a lot of people going on the corner. So this is our
Yes.
virtual Community Corner where we just keep it real. So at this point, it's a good point where we share some practical tips and strategies that individuals from whatever background, whether they are actually financially challenged at this time, limited resources, how can they enhance their financial literacy and take control of their financial journey?
And that's a very important question, because many times we as individuals think that we cannot achieve certain goals that we set out to achieve, right? And so my advice to anyone who wants to change that trajectory, change their financial standing, you want to see something different, just start. You just need a start. Start where you're at, right? You definitely need to be able to budget. Budgeting is not as hard as it may sound. It may sound difficult for some persons, but we just want to ensure that we account for the monies that we spend, the monies that we earn. What do we do with those? We want to ensure that you create that sense of discipline, because it doesn't matter if you're earning $100 or $1 million. At the end of the day, you want to ensure that you account for that $1 million, that $100. So it's not how much you earn, but how much of that are you actually saving? How much of that are you putting aside so that you can go ahead to invest later on to achieve the long term, short term goal that you would have set out to achieve? And so it's important that you first develop that budget, develop that discipline. And that's what I would say to the persons who are listening to me this evening.
Fantastic. And at this
Thank you.
point, we want to speak specifically to the teens and the young adults who might
Of
be going
course.
through that challenging patch that you would have gone through. Share with
And of
them what
course,
it is that, yes, helped you through so
for
that they're
me,
able
when
to
I
better navigate.
definitely, for me, when I speak to the teens, I am just remembering myself as a young individual. I used to, when I used to go to school, some days my parents could not afford that lunch money. And so I was determined from I was young, that I must get out of what I quote poverty. Yes, they were very interesting in getting me an education, but they did not have the resource. The resources were very limited. And so what I used to bus fare or lunch money. I used to purchase, I remember purchasing what they call bonbon, that candy. I used to purchase chocolate just to turn over that money. And it's the same thing for the youths now. You want to ensure that if it is that you're getting a stipend, you're getting your lunch money, how much of that are you saving? Because if you are to save $100 per day, pretty much by the end of the week, you should have at least $3,000. And when you calculate that for the year, you're looking at $36,000 thereabout. So it's simply starting with what you have, developing a plan, right? Developing a plan, have an idea of what it is that you want to achieve. And we can actually help you with that. And that's why it's important to be educated, read, be in tune with the different financial articles, read the newspaper. The internet is so wide these days that information is out there. You going on the Ministry of Finance website, you'll definitely see articles. You go on the stock exchange website, it will help you to see the different companies that are being sold. And so also speaking to someone working in the financial sector like myself and a financial advisor, we're there to actually guide you to get you to that goal.
All, all right.
Yes.
Learn, Grow, Invest has one for you, which is a follow up to the teens. What would you say to a young adult who just started earning money? What should they do first?
Okay. So you just starting your job, just earning. Again, you need to know, how is it that you will be spending this money? You need to keep track of your spending, right? You need to develop a budget. You also need to ensure that you are saving. Saving is very important. It's a saving that you would start to do that will help you to develop that discipline to go on to further investing, right? So those are the things that I would encourage young people starting out. try to ensure that first you start off with a budget. Know what you will be spending your money on, see what is happening with those funds, and then we can actually grow from there. And creating a goal, break your goals down into short-term goals that are the immediate things that you need to accomplish, medium term that is between what 5 year and 10 year thereabout, and long-term goal, and work towards each of them. Because one of the things you have to be mindful of, that get rich quick scheme, that's a no-no. A house, you don't build things overnight. We actually try to create that foundation, and the foundation that you're going to be creating is starting to ensure that you start the discipline of saving.
And some of the young people, I can hear them saying, boy, I want to get there, but when I see the nice restaurants and these
Oh,
nice jets and
that
the new
instant
thing coming
gratification.
out, how do
That
I
instant
deal with all of
gratification.
that?
So I'm telling yes, I'm going to tell my young people, you can experience all of that. But again, it's always looking back at what are the goals that you have in mind, ensuring that you do not fall victim to instant gratification. Because when it is that you would have started saving, then you start to invest in different things, whether it be real estate, the stock market, among other things, creating businesses for yourself. You are more than financially capable now to treat yourself. We're not saying that if you're working and earning a salary, you should not, treat yourself every now and again. But that's mindset to think that you are able to go ahead and splurge on, the latest name brands, that fast life, it's not necessarily the best thing to start off with. Treating yourself, yes. So you create that budget, create that goal, set aside something that you're working towards. Okay, I want to go on a vacation in the next 2 years. You start putting aside a little change for that. But at the same time, you're actually working towards the other goals that you may have in place.
Indeed. And we are covering everyone tonight. We are
Definitely.
moving on to the young at heart who might have grown up in the era where you have these financial literacy, or some misconceptions about financial literacy. Only people who have money can
Yeah.
invest. Tell
Mm-hmm.
us, one or two experiences that you've had, and other myths that you have encountered, and how you've been able to debunk those.
All right. So you would have mentioned one of the popular myths that are out there. Persons saying that, one, I cannot afford it, and I generally sometimes smile when I hear that, because many times I know for a fact that the things that they say they cannot afford, they definitely can afford it. It's just because you're not necessarily managing your cash flow, seeing what you're spending your money on, or having the right guidance, someone to guide you in terms of how to properly invest. You understand? So definitely, let me give an example. I oftentimes hear persons say, "Oh, I'm not earning enough to save." Yes, you can save. At least try to save 10% of your earning. Because if you start off with 10%, I can tell you, if you start this month with 10% and next month 10%, and when you look back in your account and you're seeing that money growing, you are going to find the way out to increase that. You may increase it to 15%. You're going to want to increase it to 20%. And before you know it, you become so consistent at saving, become more so disciplined at saving, that you achieve that particular goal so fast that you it's just a mind thing. Once you tell yourself that you can't, you're already defeated. try to ensure that you feed yourself with positive thoughts and positive thinking, right? Again, you just need to start. Once you start, the you're on the right path, right? So once you start to save and invest, you now will be looking at what are the vehicles to actually get you to where you're going.
All right. And as you talked about vehicle getting you to where you're going, I'm sure you have a lot of stories from your own life where you're seeing where financial literacy made a significant difference. Share with us one of those and what you learned from the experience, so others
All right.
can learn too without going through the same thing.
I definitely remember growing up, and my parents did not have the funds to send me to tertiary institution, and there I had to become creative. So I enrolled, I looked at the different options in terms of payment. Now we have the student loan for some persons who are able to do that. For me, I did not go that route because I realized that you have things like the JAMVAT program. For me, it paid 40% of my tuition at the time. I was able to go overseas on the overseas programs that they have, the student programs for summer workers, and was able to work and pay my tuition. That helped me. And it's all about being able to, quote unquote, hustle. Find something that you can use to turn whatever resources that you have. There are so many scholarships that are available as well. The financial institution I work with, once you're parents or you are a member, we do provide the opportunity for your child to apply for scholarships that are offered, right? And those are some of the tips that I utilized to get through my tertiary training. And so that's something that I would also share. In addition to, just to add, um, at the time, utilizing JAMVAT was 40%, but you also have what is called the NYS, which once you were able to be a part of that, you would have gotten some assistance. I think it was 60% at the time. But for persons now who are going through arduous, please, you do have terms of funding that are accessible for those persons who are on the PATH program. The PATH program also offer
I am losing you on this
financial.
end. Let me know in the chat, in the comments. Are you hearing clearly?
Okay.
Let me know if you're hearing clearly over there. All right.
Okay.
Profound advice so far. So good.
Thank
All right.
you.
I missed a portion of what you shared in terms of heart. So
Yes,
for
I was
those
saying
in,
I was reading an article today
awesome.
because I do like to read and follow with the different ministries and trends so that I can pass on this information to my clients. When I sit with a client, even though I am doing financial planning with them, they do have children that have great aspiration, and I can always pass on these little information that I would have, quote unquote, seen somewhere or somebody send me. It is my pleasure to pass that on. So I did see where, I think it was an article where they're saying that for hard trust, once you do a skill set, there will be a certain um, financial, there'll be a certain amount that will be
Grant.
given, a grant, thank you, that will
Okay.
be
Okay.
given. But they also have assistance through the PATH program, where they do assist with tertiary education for this for children.
Right. And I believe
Yes.
that is being increased based on the budget
Yes,
debate
there is
today.
an
Right.
increase
A
that is,
number of those are being increased. Thank you
and
so
I'm
much,
saying it's
Raquel.
a stepping stone for many persons out there who is looking for assistance. I got assistance through JAMVAT. JAMVAT is still in operation. You want just go to the Ministry of Education website and you can get on board.
Right. And
Yeah.
a number of financial institutions,
Offering
public sector
scholarship.
workers, there are a number of grants that are available to children that
That
are
need the
so
assistance.
blessed to have
Yes.
parents that work with those organizations. But you're
And
sharing some really
private
useful.
institutions too.
Yes,
Um, where I work too, we do offer that to clients, children as well as workers.
fantastic. All right.
Yes.
You did share a story about your aunt. Share with us. I think that would be very useful for the viewers in terms of,
Okay.
right,
So
navigating.
we did talk about the different tools or vehicles to enhance our financial status and so forth. So in my case, I had an aunt who was diagnosed with cancer. And so at the time, medical expenses nowadays is through the roof. Burying someone is even through the roof as well. And so insurance was able to assist us, right, in getting through that trying time. And so it's important that you I'm seeing now where you have the household, the breadwinner mainly in many households nowadays is a woman. And it is very important that you, as parents, we try to ensure that we put things in place. If we're thinking of tertiary education for our children, we need to be thinking of what it is that we're going to be doing. What do we need to do in order to prepare for that? And that would need some form of investment to do that, right? If we're going to be thinking of disability, in this case my aunt had cancer, she was disabled. Yes, she died eventually, but having the an insurance helped us to cushion some of the expenses, right? So we want to have the things in place before we need them. We don't want to be in a position where we need financial help and we are not prepared. So we have to start preparing by starting where we are at. You're never too young or too old to do this. So for some persons here on this platform, we have young people, persons here. So it's important to start now. When you start now, you're younger, so you have a longer time to be saving for your family. You plan to have family later on for the different goals that you have in mind. And for the parents here who have not started, don't tell yourself that you can never start. You can start something because it will add value to your family.
Great one.
Yes.
And this will not be the last financial literacy that we're having here in Community Corner. I almost said Culture Corner. So there are two corners, Culture Corner on first Thursday and Community Corner on third Thursday. All
Yes.
right. So we will be having another segment for financial literacy, but we're going to zone in on a specific product or two to give you
Yes.
some expert guidance to delve deeper in some of these. But for now, we want to give you some practical financial literacy tips.
Yes.
Thank you. Mapen Church of God is with us. Wise words. All right.
Well,
All right. So, how do you approach financial planning with your clients that have limited resources or some unique economic challenges? How do you
again,
usually approach that?
to what I do, I approach each client on an individual and individualistic perspective. The reason being, everyone's financial situation is different. You know, you have different goals. So I may be here, I'm a mother of three, and based on my circumstance and the goals that I am trying to achieve, you know, we want to ensure that we're able to tailor products to suit your family, your specific needs. And so persons with limited resources, we are able to get a proper understanding of where they are at financially, right? When we're able to look at your specific financial circumstance, we're able to ensure to get you to a place where you can actually openly see where you're at, and then plan we can actually plan different strategies that will help you to reach your individual goal. So it's we don't look at the fact that you're not earning as much as your neighbor. I remember being in a session, and one thing that was left with me is that I should not be pay attention to my neighbor's fence. Don't be looking over to see what your neighbor is doing, because sometimes that distracts you from actually achieving the goal that you want. So I will tell persons, start where you are at. Let us have that conversation and start where you're at. I remember, I can give a specific example. I went to this school some years ago, and I met this ancillary worker. She was there working for 16 years. And when I met her, I said to her, has any financial advisor ever spoken to you? She said, no. And I said to her, you're working here 16 years, and I'm sure many advisors would have come to your school. And she said, none has ever spoken to me. I said to her, I will not leave today without ensuring that I get you on a product. We talked, we started a small saving plan. And I remember coming to work one morning, and she saw me and she said, oh, Mrs. Forbes, I'm here to take some monies off my little investment. She did. I met her another time. She said to me, oh, Mrs. Forbes, I started a little house. The next time I met her, Mrs. Forbes, you know that I did the decking. And these are the things that brings me joy, to know that I am able to make a positive impact on the lives of the people that I meet. And so that's why I am here to tell persons that it doesn't matter where you're at. Sometimes some things that you're working on for years, you can achieve them in short time by just, focusing and having the right person to guide you to achieve the goal that you set out to achieve.
Indeed. All right. And we have Prim saying solid words, Chioma. And we
Thank
have
you.
cheers going up from Latoya in the comments here.
Hi,
Thank you
Victoria.
so much for engaging. Always great to have the community support. All
Yes.
right. The reality is that financial, especially the jargon, yes, we have a lot of information out there, but the typical Jamaican don't understand a quarter of what's been shared in the public domain, right? And the reality is there's a number of people who are not able to read. How do
Yes.
we reach those people to ensure that they are able to put themselves in a better position financially?
First of all, it's very important that if it is that you have or seeking a financial advisor, it's somebody who you can trust, somebody who you are comfortable with, to understand that, okay, I may not understand this jargon. However, this person will take the time to explain it down to the T the way I can understand and comprehend, right? I have had many clients who they can't read, but or they can't even sign and have to hold a little hand and take time or be slower with them to ensure that you understand. And I always tell persons, if you have a question, don't be afraid to ask the question. Ask it how you can ask it. Don't think that, oh, I don't have the big words to use, or I don't understand this word that you use. Say so. Could you kindly break that down for me? Because I don't understand that word. So sometimes, for some persons, is like it's having that sense a little pride. We always have that little pride that we feel shame or feel afraid to ask. But listen, I heard this phrase, closed mouth don't get fed. And that is like that actually stayed with me, because I realized that many times we can get help, but because we are so fearful, or we are so fearful to ask, then the opportunity tend to pass you by. So my advice is this: don't be afraid to ask the questions. Don't be afraid to say you don't understand. Don't be afraid to, even after you would have had that conversation with that financial advisor or the institution, to go back and say, could you go over it again? I did not get this aspect of it. And a trusted and caring advisor would be more than happy to share and explain for you.
All right, fantastic. And now we're going home in terms of the the role of the community in all of this, because there are some who will never encounter a financial advisor. It's just by the way. How
Yeah.
important is it that schools, community groups like your church, your community clubs, how important is it for them to play an active role in promoting financial literacy, helping to connect these individuals with the right resources?
Our community plays a vital role in these connections. First and foremost, when we talk about our schools, I'm looking at our schools and I'm thinking, even personally for myself, I'm thinking, oh my Lord, if it is that when I was in high school, I was being taught financial literacy, maybe some of the pitfalls and the things that I would have done, or I could even would have gone home and educate my parents more, So it's very important that one, curriculums are developed around financial literacy. Civics that was taught in the schools back in the days, teaching you about politics, things like that nature, um, finance. Those are some of the things that needs to go back into the schools. When we talk about our community clubs, we need to have more engagement. Even the service clubs going into the schools, having financial literacy sessions, right, to help our students to become more educated when it comes on to proper financial planning, right? Now, we do have the social media that is quite accessible, but we do understand that some of the information that is being shared are not necessarily facts. And so having programs that Kalila Reynolds have on YouTube is a very important program. We also have the Ministry of Finance website, even other financial institution. I know for sure for my financial institution that I work at, I work with Sagicor Life Jamaica. It's more of a one-stop shop because we do We have the banking section. We do insurance, both group and life. We have the real estate, and we do investment. So pretty much, if you were to go onto, say, Sagicor website, you will definitely see the different products and offerings that we have available. And I'm sure other institutions do have that accessibility as well. So having the church as well, because in Jamaica we have quite a few churches, and we are Christian, relatively Christians, and so we go to church. So our church community too can play a vital role in this by ensuring that when they have certain programs, social programs, that they invite persons like myself, a financial advisor, to come in and sensitize the youths, the congregants as well, of the importance of having proper financial planning. Because for sure, when we speak of the church, our community, when we are having financial difficulty, we will go to the church for help. And so if our churches can actually create more programs for persons like us to come in and educate their congregants, then we will be able to empower them financially. And so these are some of the things that we need to put in place.
Fantastic. Any other specific initiatives that you're aware of that's able to effectively reach diverse audience?
So I did mention the Kalila Renal Show. We have also the Jamaica Stock Exchange. You can go onto the Ministry of Finance website. You also have our print media. The Wednesday media tend to have quite a bit of financial articles coming in. Those are some. And as I mentioned earlier, going on to websites like sagicor.com, you are able to see articles
Right.
as well as products offered.
Outside of that, specific initiatives like I know there are a number of entities who do go into schools. Are you aware of any such? They go on road shows sometimes. Any of those that
Well, we
you're
do
aware of?
have situation with our institution where we do have our surgical foundation, and we do go into schools to do empowerment sessions as well. We have something called surgical stage. So there are quite a few little things that we do to go out there and empower persons during even wellness fairs and things like that. We try to provide some level of education and to help to bring awareness to the importance of proper financial planning.
As you mentioned, the fair, there's SDC holds so many different community fairs across the island ever
Yeah,
so often. So that's also an awesome opportunity.
oh,
I know that
definitely. Because they do
right, the youth
collaborations as
clubs
well.
too.
Yes.
Right. The youth clubs do have their sports day, activities. And I think that's an awesome on the ground kind of approach.
Yes, because
That's not
definitely
working out.
these initiatives too are most times sponsored by financial institution, and so they definitely always have some level of a booth to so that persons can interface and get information out there to the public.
Right. But
Yes.
from what I've seen, it's primarily about the products and not so much about actually the one-on-one education. So maybe
But
that's where, in terms of
what
the
what tends
approach,
to yeah, but what tends to happen though at those events, most times, because I would have been at most recently a women expo, and throughout the session you interface with persons, but one of the things that we do is to get relevant contact information so that you can have that one-on-one dialogue with the client, right? So at that time now you can go more in depth.
Fantastic. All
Yes.
right. Let's hear from our community. Doreen Brown is saying powerful words, great
Thank you,
information.
Doreen.
Great, my daughter and friend.
Here's Doreen.
All right. And Prim is cheering you on.
Thank
All right.
you.
Amazing, amazing stuff. You can ask your questions, if you have a question. And how could I forget to indicate that Learn, Grow, Invest was one of the first to comment here in this space, has a education channel there, Learn, Grow, Invest. You can check them out. What they do is, what I find is that they get in the CEOs, different programs, and they actually break down some of these things that's happening so you can have a better understanding. And I think Jermaine does a decent job of helping to get them to share the information in a way that we can understand. So that's another resource right there.
Okay.
Jermaine, if you're still with us, just say something again so that the viewers can check out your channel and see what you have going on over there. All right. So you would have shared a number of resources, how we can actually stay in touch. And I just mentioned one in terms of developments in the financial industry. But how do you stay abreast? Because things are changing so rapidly. How do you stay abreast of the changes so that you can effectively advise your clients?
Okay. So what generally what I do is to what I do to stay abreast of what is happening is to be in tune with the different communities, right? So in terms of the newsletters that are sent out from time to time, be connected with the Financial Service Commission on the different changes that is sent out. My company provides they do provide learning experiences in terms of conferencing. We have workshops from time to time, as well as being a part of the MDRT, which is the $1 Million Round Table. We do get newsletters and updates as to what is going on within the financial hemisphere in terms of the changes. We also currently, I am actually doing an FSCP course. I just finished business insurance. So learning, getting educated, that's pretty much how I keep abreast of what is happening, staying tuned to the stock exchange, stay tuned to the different courses that are being offered as well. Helps me to keep abreast and able to
Okay.
share with my clients.
FSCP, Financial Services Commission, what? What's the P for?
Courses, the P,
you, you
I
use
can't
so
remember
many
right now, I'm sorry.
acronyms.
Yes, after coming out of that exam like last week, I'm just like,
Uh,
what are
all
we?
right. So I'm sure you would have experienced through your clients or maybe personally some common pitfalls, mistakes. What are some of them that we ought to be aware of? You would have mentioned one earlier in terms of the get rich quick
I
scheme.
think
What
that
other pitfall have you come across, and how can we avoid falling in those?
so. I think one of the things too is to be aware of your risk tolerance and trying to ensure that you diversify your portfolio. Diversification helps to manage the risk. So, for instance, if it is that you are young, you can take some level of risk, but you don't want to have a hundred, say $1,000, and put it in all in one place. You want to be diversified. a very high risk do 50 or do 90, but ensure you have something to fall back on, because in when it comes on to investment, you do have a yield, very high yielding funds. And if it is that those funds go down, you do have to wait it out for you for those funds to pick up. If you are more on a senior level going into retirement, you don't want to be doing those type of riskier investments. You want to be more on the moderate side of things. So those are one of the pitfalls, the fact that people want to get rich quick, so the rich quick schemes, and also being overly risky when they are doing their investment, not diversifying their portfolio. So I advise
All
people to
right.
diversify your portfolio.
So when you say diversify, you're basically saying don't put all the eggs in one basket. So you
Pretty
have
much. That's what my
a
grandmother
mix.
always says. Yes. So you want to invest in real estate, you want to invest in stocks, you want to invest in bonds, different things. Do a mixture of different things. You want to ensure too that you invest in insurance, because if you take that you are building your children are left hungry, you would have set out for them.
All right. Prim has a question here. How do you connect with the overseas market?
Okay. How do I connect with the overseas market? So pretty much, because it is that the company I work for is actually an international company, I'm able to do business with persons in the diaspora, which I do have clients there. Because Sagicor is an international company. And so I find that persons who have connection back home, they want to ensure that they have something in place just in case. So persons living overseas, you can always do business with us here.
I hope that's right.
Oh,
I
I
hope
did.
that answers your question, Prim. All right. All right. You would have mentioned earlier in terms of budgeting, and you just shared now about investing.
Yes.
Um, Share with us how those good financial habits can really impact individuals and families in the long term. Because sometimes we're not seeing it right now, but
Yeah.
in the long term, how can those practices impact individuals and the family in general?
Okay. So creating the right financial, having the right financial vehicles to actually take you to where you want to go is very important. An example I am going to give here is, for instance, you're planning to purchase a property. You're young, um, looking forward to purchasing that property. You would want to ensure that, for instance, you try to do an investment that will help you to have some funds for either the opening costs, the down payment on the property. You want to ensure also that you invest in insurance, because when you're young and healthy, that is when you're able to get a bigger or a greater sum insured, and you're also able to get that at a more affordable premium, right? Because it is that you want to acquire that property, the same insurance can be used to secure that property later on. So when we talk to persons and we hear one of the biggest thing persons saying that, in our, I don't know if it's a cultural thing or not, but I've heard it so many times. You have to die in order to benefit from insurance. That's not true. That is so not true, because there are so many living benefits that you can benefit from while you're living. The cash value that's on that insurance, right? The fact that you can utilize it to help you to get to the place that you want to get to acquire property. You will also know of importance that the same insurance can also help you to secure your your estate, because if it is that you are to pass, then all the final expenses has to be paid. If it is that you owe if you have a debt, that has to be cleared. And so insurance can actually help to secure the properties that you would have acquired. It is very important too in setting up that retirement fund. So those are some of the things that we have to look at when it comes on to ensuring that we look at the vehicles that we utilize. If you want to do an educational plan for your children, we have products for that too. You just want to ensure that you have a good financial advisor, a trusted one that you can work with, right, to get you to those goals.
Indeed. Primi, you're welcome. All right. So Primi is satisfied with your response to her question.
Okay.
So finally, from me, what message or advice would you like to leave with our audience regarding the importance of financial literacy and taking control of their financial future?
All right. So the message I want to leave with our audience is to understand that everyone can be financially um, empowered. You can reach the goals that you set out to achieve. You just want to start. And I think that's one of the problems, or the fear that many persons have, is to say, I cannot afford this. It is for the rich person, it is for the person working in the office. If you're even a street cleaner, you can afford proper financial planning. You can actually start doing something. You can actually start a saving. So developing a budget, being disciplined, right? Being able to communicate, because you have to be able to communicate what it is that you want, what it is that you're working towards, so that you can get the proper help. And that is pretty much what I want to leave with you. Speak to an advisor, ensure it's a trusted one. And I mean, if you want an advisor, I'm right here. I'm willing to work with anyone wanting to work with me. My name
All
is Chioma
right.
Dinnall-Forbes. Thank you.
All right. You all know that someone getting an invoice, right? Oh, thank you so much, Chioma.
Thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure. And thank you to your audience as well for taking the time to listen to us on this awesome program, making changes in our community, one family at a time.
Oh, I love that. All right. Patricia McKenzie saying solid and profound advice, especially to the young generation. Indeed.
Definitely.
Please,
Thank
I'm
you.
encouraging you all. I see ministry representatives, agency representatives, justices of the peace. I see church leaders. What am I seeing again? Educators. We usually have a number of educators. So please, this is your charge to share the information. Remember that the live remains on YouTube, Facebook, and for those who are over on X, formerly Twitter, the live is there. So you share the link from anywhere, wherever they're comfortable, so they can get that. And we don't stop there. We also have a recap, some bite size from what's shared here in the live on Mondays. So go on over to serenityresourceconnected.com and set up your notification so you can get the reminder when the blog goes live on Monday, right? So you can catch the highlights. So for those who prefer to read, you can catch the recap, and if they want to delve deeper, they can go back to the video and get additional details. All right, so thank you so much. I saw a new subscriber earlier today. Thank you for subscribing. For those who are on who have not yet subscribed, be sure to do so. And when you go over to the website, subscribe over there as well so you can stay abreast of what's happening here on Serenity Resource Connector. All right, so go live each Thursday, 8 p.m. For those who are new to the space, thank you so much. Welcome. And don't make this your last time, even though Chioma might not be on next week. We are now family, so go ahead and subscribe so that we can continue the connection. We have Culture
Definitely,
Corner
and
this. Yes.
I'm looking forward to being back on your program. Definitely, we are family.
Awesome. Oh, all right. I'm gonna have to create some additional spots because the requests are coming in fast and furious. And I'm happy
Okay.
that our youth organizations are reaching out. So the youth are really engaged and they want to be a part of what it is that we have here, which is a good sign. It all is
Yes.
not lost after all. So let me thank the members of the community who continue to not only join and get the information, but also share the information. The word is getting out there, and I have you to thank for that. And our awesome sponsors who continue to support the program. And we are looking for specific sponsors. So if it is that you or someone you know connects with any of the community corner, culture corner that we have in this space, we are looking for sponsorship so you can get your business out there to be known to the community. You can also place your, if you have an upcoming event, you can have that placed in our blog post so others can know, more people can know about it, and you can support the work, the mission of the Serenity Resource Connector as we continue to educate and empower, because that's what it's all about. All right. Thank you again, Chioma. Such a pleasure having you here and sharing that your wisdom with us. And thank you to
thank
all
you.
those who are
Here.
pleasure, right? For those who are able to join us live and those who are watching the replay, it's a pleasure having you here. Continue to stay safe and have a fantastic rest of the night or morning, wherever you are. All right.
Bye.
Thank you, Lady Mac. Thank you so much. So you all take care now. Have a great one.